Hey, welcome to Books, Builds, and More. I'm Travis, and today I'm doing a build review for the Lego set Trafalgar Square. Upon first glance, you may think that this was a fairly easy build. You would be right. However, there were a lot of challenging steps in this build, and by challenging I mean tricky, but nothing bad. I really actually had a great time building this set. And according to the instruction book, there are four major areas of interest, most notably the National Gallery in the back, Nelson's Column here in the front, the two fountains that appear inside the square, and then just the various structures, the plinths and sculptures around and statues around that accentuate the square. But as you can see, there are also other little details to this set that just give it a lot more character than just a standard architecture look. Now, the one thing that gets me the most about this is the color scheme. You see, especially from the National Gallery and a lot of the baseline, you see a lot of white and gray, like a mixture of dark and light gray areas that kind of dominate the set. But with the green of the trees, the translucent blues of the fountains, and the red from these double-decker bus pieces, I think the color scheme blends very, very nicely and gives it a more authentic flavor. There's also a lot of mirroring in this set, as you can tell by the tree lines here. Better make sure I don't knock this Nelson's Column over. I may have to remove it here for a second to show some things. But you also have lines of the street lights, and then you have these same kind of statues on the other sides. You have the identical fountains, of course. You even have these tiled terraces. And then, of course, you have the National Gallery itself, which kind of mirrors, which is kind of mirrored. And you have a little bit of red on the inside that gives it more of an authentic feel. And then you have these translucent pieces on top that kind of have a glass or crystalline effect for the gallery. But it was really a neat build. And the gallery composed of a lot of the build. Once you get the initial base, which is I think 10 by 10 measurement, I'm not sure, I think it was that way, and you have this plate, this identification plate, Trafalgar Square, identifying the set. Now, a couple things I don't like. I'm not sure. I just think these pieces that surround the Nelson's Column, where they're meant to be some of the plinths and sculptures around, I didn't really care for the look of those. The fountains looked okay. I think they represent pretty well. I'm not really sure what this little structure is supposed to be up here on this terrace, but then you've got an egg piece over here, which I thought was pretty cool. So there was a little bit of a difference there instead of just straight up mirroring like the last or the rest of the set. But over here, you have like the side road on this side where you've got a double-decker bus going up the street, and then just like a little truck figure here. And it's kind of the same on the other side, except they are in different places. Like you have the double-decker bus here and then another little truck here. So I like that it switched up a little bit in that way, that it gave it a little bit more character. But I really do think that this was just a great look to represent the actual Trafalgar Square, which I've actually seen in London. And one of the things I want you to notice is some of the awkwardness that came from some of the complexity of the build, which I mentioned a minute ago. Like, for example, this is a little bit loose. These angular plates on top of the front of the gallery here. So, and these columns, these individual column pieces, these were really tricky to kind of get in there, but it was challenging. I love a good challenge, and Lego always usually provides that, so that's why I really enjoy it. But one of the most unusual build steps of this were the steps outside the gallery here. See how loose they are? These are plated pieces that you basically just stack on top of each other and set them in there, and they're held down by these other plated pieces. And this goes on like on these side pieces here, and then you've got a couple that are going up the side here. Oops, I'm going to knock that Nelson's column over. Okay, and then, you know, the same way as over here, you can see they're a little bit loose, but they're still held in place. But again, they give it an authentic look. But I also like the fact that they are the thinner plate pieces instead of just the standard, because the standard thickness of these regular plated pieces would be a little bit too thick, in my personal opinion, to give it that kind of more authentic look to it. Now, one thing that a lot of people really enjoy about this set is that there's actually a little bit of a surprise to it. And this is something that I think creates a different kind of display option. And you have these like little secret compartments back here that you put together on the back of the gallery. But you open them up, you can take them off for a specialized display option that kind of allows you to look inside the gallery. I'm trying to get up close here so you can see what it kind of looks like, and it gives it an authentic feel. And then there's like a little sculpture, and then you've got a couple of gold pieces in there to make it look like an actual art gallery on the inside. You have these plated pieces, or plated, excuse me, these printed pieces just kind of stick in there. So yeah, that looks pretty neat. I usually just keep it covered up because, for one thing, I live by myself, so who's going to see all this? Also, just to keep the dust out of it, which I'm not doing a very good job. Ooh. Anyway, yeah, that's something that I thought was cool, and it was fairly challenging to put together. So overall, I do like this set. Maybe not one of my top favorites ever that I've ever built, but it is a worthy build. It's not a very large set, as you can plainly see. You have that secret display option for the gallery, so it's just however you want to display it in your home or wherever you would like. And it's just, it is a worthy build. And that's my review for Trafalgar Square by Lego Architecture. And yeah, I think this set kind of encompasses everything that I like about building Legos. It has tricky steps. It has unusual coloring, the scheme overall. The structures look pretty good, although there are a few that I disliked. I just thought were not, you know, just visually appealing. And that's just my own personal preference. But still, like I said, it is a worthy build, and I'm glad I have it, and I enjoy it. I really do. I think it looks great. And if you've stuck with me this long, I appreciate you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again in the next video.